Steve, one man doesn't win a match, but one did tonight. Can you just talk us through your reaction to that performance by George when you needed it most?
Yeah, I thought George was magnificent this evening. We could all talk about his kicking, what he did in scoring the points, but the composure and the management he showed throughout. And I think what tonight is another example of the great leadership that's within this England team. And a lot's been said in the past about the leadership within the England team, where I see as a group that has packed full of senior pros who are fantastic leaders, like the man next to me, George, as you discussed, Jamie, George, Ellis, Genge, and the list could go on. And I thought, what you just said, not one man wins a game. They all do, and they did very well tonight.
Steve, well done. When Tom went off, very unfortunate, what was very, very interesting was how the defensive system responded with Mauro moving in and leading that blitz. Who was making those decisions, and was that kind of pre-planned? It was absolutely fantastic to watch. Well,
I think that question probably got to the man next to me. In terms of the defensive system, I think the thing I'll say is I think the players have trained and prepared well for this game. As I said they would, and I said they did. They've trained well for it. In terms of things on the pitch, that's Courtney was captain.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't specifically say Maz. It's just he stepped up and led us off the line. He was in that 30 spot most of the time, and he did a great job. And it just means that it's so much easier for the boys to get up outside. And obviously you got to have the will to do that, and we did today. So you can see what kind of effort we put into that game, and yeah, it's obviously great to finally see reap the rewards of this pre-season.
Next question is just right behind you. Just behind you. Thank you.
A question to the captain. How much were the players feeling the pressure from the public given recent results and wanting to maybe win the public back?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them because, you know, it wasn't just the public that was disappointed in our performances, it was us as well. So first and foremost, we wanted to get it right for each other. And we did that today. I think what really won us that game was our effort, our intent, especially in defence. And then set piece came to the party, and we were able to really put some points on the board. Obviously, Fordy had an unbelievable game, and he led us around the park. And when you've got a good set piece and a good 10, you've got a good chance of winning.
One for Courtney here. Obviously, the lads have been under a bit of pressure recently. But after that win today, I'd just like to hear how the boys are feeling and what the atmosphere is like in that changing room now. Yeah,
it's obviously a great atmosphere. It's tough to win against the Pumas, even with 15 men. So to do it with 14 is obviously a pretty big ask. Some pretty spent players in the changing room, but you know, we're going to have a good time tonight. We've got to celebrate that kind of win. And honestly, we moved. To be honest, we still haven't played exactly as well as we'd have liked. So there's plenty to improve on.
Thank you. Steve, you talked during the week about how the team had been written off. Do you feel that performance was vindication for what you've been doing?
I talked in the week about how I sensed from the players that they felt they had been written off a little too early. And I think that we've got a quality group of players, and I reiterate that again, and I think you saw that on the pitch today. And I think that blend of experience, because a lot of people have been talking and writing columns about some of the experience, I thought the players showed their experience today on the big occasion. And I certainly felt that these players were ready to perform on the biggest of stages, and like Courtney, who has many times.
And what do you think that performance will do for the squad's confidence going for the rest of the tournament?
Right now, we're pleased with the win, pleased that we stepped forward in some areas. We have to adapt, and we're going through a disciplinary process now with Tom Curry, so we're going to have to be ready for what comes from that. And then we play Japan next Sunday in Nice. And these players should rest and recover and enjoy this win because they deserve it. From a coach's point of view, we're already moving on to Japan, and then our preparation for the Japan game with the team will start on Monday night.
Thank you. Fourth row here.
Steve, I assume the drop goals weren't plan A, they were plan B. Almost 25 years after Yanni de Beer. Could they become a plan A?
Just seeing him kicking the goals, it's been played on this TV just now. actually, we all know that, and I'm sure you've all looked at it, that come World Cup, there's a higher incidence of drop goals. It's higher than Tier 1 Test rugby outside of World Cups. I thought George took the opportunities really well today.
Steve, Galvin here. I'm just wondering how much of an overall statement this performance means to both you and the coaching team and the players, and how transformative can it be in terms of getting yourself really into this World Cup now?
Yeah. I'd say the first thing I'd say, I'm really pleased for the players because they have been putting in an enormous amount of hard work, and it doesn't matter what way from you want to see the reward of it, and I think the players started to see some of the reward of it tonight. And I know every day they've turned up and tried their very hardest, and they saw that reward on there. So that's an important sign for the players of what they're doing is ensuring we're going in the right direction. The second thing I'm really pleased about is those supporters that were out in that stadium today. I thought they were absolutely magnificent. I said beforehand, we have tens of thousands of England supporters in France. They're going to follow us around and spend an awful lot of money to do that. And we want to make sure they have nights to remember, and I think they'll remember tonight. And I think the third group I talk about is all those people back home in the living rooms, the sofas, in the pubs. I hope they had a real good night tonight. And what we want to do is make sure they have another good night next Sunday.
Good evening, Steve and Courtney. Just want to know, what did you think about the bunker decisions in the beginning of the match? Because it was action quite similar with shock with the head and not the same decision at the end.
What do I think about the decisions? Well, clearly, I'm not going to comment upon one that's going through a disciplinary process now. I thought the other one was quite interesting. It looked very similar to an incident just a few weeks ago that got upgraded to red. So we'll wait and see what comes. Today's wasn't upgraded. It looked very similar to the other one.
Aaron at the back.
Steve, hi. People say that George Ford is an intelligent player. It's the sort of a word that we use applied to him. But I wonder if you could explain what it is about his game brain or his understanding or his reading that sort of sets them apart, or what is it that makes him an intelligent player?
Mm-hmm. I think probably one answer, but then I think it might be worth talking to Courtney, who on the field there feels it and has that communication throughout the game. I see his all-round skill set is top class. His ability to run, pass, kick is top class, and his ability to think clearly in the highest pressure circumstances is, I think, exemplary. We tell it when those players, they seem to have more time. You know, he's kicking those drop goals, it felt like he had more time. He's kicking those high balls, it felt like he had more time than other players do. And I think that's the sign of a real top quality player. Courtney might want to talk about George on the pitch.
I think he pretty much nailed it, to be fair. Like, he just sees things that a lot of players don't see. And obviously he's not just got the job of getting himself right, but he's also got to organise the team around him, and he does that exceptionally well. And today, as you saw, he really put us in a position to go and win that game.
Thanks. We'll come here, and then there'll be time for one more question after that.
Hi, Courtney. Can I ask about Ben Earl? There's been a bit of a tension on the way he celebrates moments in the game, but today that really seemed to lift you, gave you guys a lot of energy. Was that sort of what you needed after the early sending off with Tom, Ben stepping up like that?
I think we've got a few players that kind of like to celebrate things.
Not Saracens, yeah?
Well, you know, boys celebrate things in different ways, and you know, I like to reserve my energy for other things. But no, it lifts, it lifts us, and I think the things that really kind of get the team going is when boys step up and do the tough jobs really well, like Manu stepping up, hitting hard, running hard, them kind of things. You know, they're things that really lift the team, and then obviously, boys will get energy from that.
Steve, one last one from me. You said to us over the past 3 or 4 months that you wanted to nail the defence, you wanted to nail the set piece, and then the attack and so on would follow on from that. You came up with a great plan B today, which was fantastic to see. From your point of view now, moving into the World Cup, what are a couple of work-ons that you might be looking for in attack, and where would you look to build upon the platform that you've created today?
Yeah. So what it suggests it says that we had 14 men for 78 minutes, and they had 14 men for 10 minutes, and until very late in that game, we were well ahead on run meters in terms of finding space. I think you've seen a team that's starting to find space and trying to be able to move the ball to the edges. And I think you saw that today. I think we were, in a couple of instances, 1 or 2 last passes away from really creating even better opportunities and taking opportunities. That continues to be an area for us to develop. But what I would say is we are a team that's trying to ensure we maximise our learning every single day. The players have been magnificent. Everything we ask of them, they go and apply themselves wholeheartedly towards. So I think, yes, we want to make sure our attack continues to improve. Defence took a step forward today from where it was 2 weeks ago. We're going to be tested in a different way against Japan next week. So Japan, and they play tomorrow. Japan are a team that move the ball really well. They've got great speed on the edges, and they play the game in a different way to any way you tend to be used to. So we're going to have to prepare really well for that this week.